What is up, guys? And we're back with the Jeep YJ 1-ton 40s project. I just cut my cross member tube so I can do my front stretch a bit more. Cut the tube. Gonna fab up some channels for these bolts to go through, tubes weld on top of the frame. I gotta cut the bottom section out of the frame. It's kind of rusted on the bottom and pitted pretty decently, so gonna fix that. Anyway, just measured my wheelbase, and as she sits right now, we're at about 104 inches. Maybe able to squeeze another inch out of it. I'd like to be at 105. And again, I could probably stretch the back an inch farther. I cut my lowers the other day. Not really happy with how they look though. I got them extended out a good little ways, probably the max amount that I'd feel comfortable wheeling them with. There's still complete thread engagement, like 1.5 inch thread engagement inside of the bung there, which this one isn't all the way slid up on there, but anyway, you get the picture. Probably gonna redo those. It's not gonna be a waste of tubing. I'll just use those when I build my Nerf bars or rock sliders, whatever you want to call them, on the sides, since I only cut 2. These rears they came out 34 inches, how they're adjusted right now. Looking back at it, I'll probably cut them to where they'll come out 36, fully compressed, like no thread showing on my Johnny joints on either end. There's about 1 inch showing on either end. I just wanted to get them even. I'm probably gonna cut those to where they will equal 36 inches fully compressed, or threaded all the way in, whatever you want to call it. As the front sits right now, I just got done doing this, or cutting all this bracketry out of here and tube. I still got to grind this down smooth. I just kind of got in there rough with the angle grinder so I could mock this up a little bit just to see how it look, and cut that tube. Obviously I might leave that how it is and just come off this with a little brace, just so I can maintain my grill mount right there and not have to fab up something fancy to mount the grill back with, and so it'll still be factory location pretty much. But yeah, I'll probably just come off with a little brace or something here and there, maybe, just to keep that solid. It's already pretty solid, but anyway. Yeah, I'll probably stretch the back out maybe 1 inch or 2 more. My 40s, how they are, they're gonna be, I got a plumb bob set up back here. They're gonna be about 1 inch in from the back of this, but my tub on my frame, I made this stick out. It probably sticks out about 3 to 3.5 inches past the end of the tub. So my tires are already gonna be sticking out the back of the tub. So that's about where the plumb bob is. About 20 3/4, 25/8, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, may leave the back how it is, and then just leave some adjustment if I want to stretch it out a bit more with my links. As my truss sits right now, I redid my tabs on the back here, just to angle them more towards my 4-link brackets, how they sit. I think they came out and look a lot better than how I had them mocked up before. So there's not going to be as sharp of an angle on my joints. But how this is sitting, I kind of want to make this sit at 90 degrees. I'm thinking about zipping these little tack welds off and actually rotating this forward towards the pinion. I don't know, maybe like an inch or so forward from the top here. Just rotating it like an inch forward. And just to kind of give that some uniformity, if that's even a word. Make it look a little bit better. Not like, I don't know. And that'll also, I'm at like 10 to 10.5 inches of link separation between my bottom and my top mounts for my links. So it could stand to actually rotate down a bit as well, and that'll make my uppers and lowers about the same length as well. I got my 1-ton steering in, Heims. I'm probably about to order the Jesse Haynes weld-on high steer that you just weld straight onto the knuckle here, and there's a piece here. I just got these some 3/4 bolts and just some Schedule 80 pipe. I'm not using this, I'm just kind of using this to mock this up, and got a string tie between it just to kind of see about where my steering is going to be so I can get a visual of it. Steering box, I think it looks a lot better tucked up in the frame how it is. When I do my 1-ton steering, I'm going to come on top of this with my Heim and then go down towards the passenger knuckle, and I'll probably come off of here with a tab just to create a double shear setup on the pitman arm. That is actually a pitman arm off of a 99 Cherokee, or my old Cherokee that I sold. The one that came on this 88 I bought is actually a rough stuff, or not rough stuff, rough country, since it had a 4-inch leaf spring lift on it. It is a drop arm, drops at about 1 inch, more or less, about 1 inch. I kind of wanted that up as high as possible, so I beat that one off of there, and the XJ one fits on there, so we're gonna use the XJ pitman arm, and it's just a stock XJ arm. Hopefully it'll go all the way up on there where it needs to go. Maybe, hopefully. Anyway, I got it drilled out to 3/4 inch just for a bolt for my 7/8 Heim setup, and I'm gonna come off with a tab to create the double shear. I got the faces of these knuckles cleaned up a little bit. I'm gonna take, that's just kind of like a wire wheel cleanup. I'm gonna take the grinder to it and take out that casting line and make that a flat surface for when I get that the Jesse Haynes weld-on high steer. I haven't started on this one yet. That one still needs to get cleaned up, but yeah, that's where we're at. Really like the way these tabs came out, how I welded them on here, more of at an angle. I like the way that came out a lot. May have to round that out a little bit. This bolt doesn't want to stick up in there, but I know one of these tabs was quite tight, getting the bolt to even stick through there just with one of them. Yeah, probably gonna rebuild these arms. I got a 24-foot stick, so that should be plenty. Go ahead and make these. I cut these are 24 3/4 inches long, just to yeah. So I'll probably cut them. I'll probably cut my next ones 4 inches longer. I'll probably cut them 28 or 29 just to be safe. I can always cut more off, which hindsight is 20/20. Probably should have cut them long to begin with, see if I like them, but I can repurpose these anyway for my rock sliders on the side to come off the frame, and weld a little piece of 3/16 onto the frame once I get my tubs set back up on here, so I can know whereabouts I need to put them. Got my spring pad cut off on the passenger side. I just got my link brackets just tacked on here. I trimmed my housing out for my driver's side link bracket. This is the piece that came out of it. Not as hard as one would expect. Really just sat up in there. I turned the axle up, pinion pointing straight up in the air, and took my 4.5 inch cut off wheel, cut there, cut the bottom. I cut it right in front of this wide piece right there, and then came up the side here just where that little gusset comes into the casting, and just took a chisel to the edge of it, beat on it just a few times, not really too much, and it started kind of angling up, and then you kind of just tap it back down and it'll break off. It left these little bit of corners in there. I had to borrow my old man's roto zip. He had some grinding rocks, and I kind of got those ground down to where my link bracket will fit up in there nice and snug. I like how that came out a lot. I am going to be preheating this cast housing and welding it and doing it post heat, just to give it that little bit of extra strength. I'm not planning on running a truss on my Dana 60 up front. I do have my little truss back there on the 14 bolt, but that's just for my upper triangulated arms. Yeah, cutting your housing is not as hard as it may seem. Damn, where's my beer? Wasn't bad at all. So yeah, big moves. Got my steering box moved to approximately where I want it. May butt it off of here, like, I don't know, 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch or so, just so it's not touching. I don't know why that would affect anything anyway, but I set my grill up on here, and it looks like we have a little bit of contact point right there where that red paint is. I don't know if I just want to kind of hack that little ear off, or where this input and output ports are. You can kind of see them under this tape, one there and one there. I think that's the return, the low pressure, and that's the high pressure. May have to do a little bit of finessing with the bottom lip on the grill to kind of just round it out, so I'll be able to get that fitting back in there. This one's plenty clear, but just to get this box as far up as I could. This is just a piece of 2x3 rectangle tubing, 3/16. That's what I built my back half of the frame out of. Figured it'd be plenty sturdy for a front bumper. Now the frame is 4 inches tall. I'm planning on just kind of rounding or chopping this corner off here, and or even coming down with a piece like this, and then I'll bring it all the way over just to kind of protect the bottom of my steering box. I'm gonna come all the way kind of down with something, maybe. I'm not sure yet. We're gonna see how that looks. But with 40s, I think we're gonna be able to keep that off the rocks and whatnot, how it is. We'll address that issue when we get to it. But yeah, I like how the steering box is sitting right now. Definitely doesn't hang down, or the actual piston case, whatever you want to call it, doesn't hang down quite as much as it used to. I mean, yeah, you have your arm sticking down now, but granted, we're gonna have 40-inch tires sitting about right here, so I don't know, I think we'll be all right. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Other than that, that's just kind of where we're at. Just slowly plugging away on this. I've been doing a lot of research on how to get a little bit more stretch out of this front end, and that's what I see a lot of people doing. There's only so many things you can do with the front steering, having a stock steering box. Yeah, I'm gonna cut some tubes for these bolts to ride through, and of course I'm gonna come off the side of the frame on the outside with another piece of 3/16, or maybe even 1/4 inch. I'll probably do 1/4 inch on the driver's side just because that's where the steering box is. But I'm also going to have a winch plate on here, so I may try to grind these where they sit into the frame a little bit so that I can bolt my winch plate on top of there like so, or I could just make some spacers to sit in there and just kind of weld all this into the frame, because I don't ever plan on removing that, and if so, I mean, I got a cutoff wheel, so we're gonna see how that goes. Yeah, it looks like that's gonna be out of the way of this top cap on my steering box, because my winch plate is gonna bolt on top of this plate, and then just kind of comes across. It raises up a little bit, so yeah, I don't think we're gonna be too worried about that. And this little adjuster nut right here, we can kind of, if that comes in contact, which it looks like it may, we can just kind of round that out so I can still play with that adjustment. Other than that, that's about where we're at. Like I said, we're sitting about 104 inch wheelbase, probably gonna go to 105, just for my application, what I plan on doing with this. I don't really need anything super crazy, like I don't need like a 115 inch wheelbase, but who knows, we might end up going that way. Definitely gonna go with a hydro, well, I'm gonna see how the stock steering box does. This is the cast number 76, which I don't think that really matters, but I'm planning on going LS, so it's gonna have a V8 power steering pump. But I'll probably throw a hydro assist on it eventually. I'm gonna see how it does, just kind of mess around in the yard here at my house. See how it does before I even take it anywhere. I got some creek beds and a few rocks and shit I can climb over, logs and whatnot. Just kind of give it a little shakedown. I won't even have to trailer it nowhere. So we're gonna see how that steering box does, but I can always throw some hydro assist in there. I think where you tap it for your pipe fittings are about here on this face, and right here on this this cutoff cast line right here on that little flat area. But like I said, we got a few bridges to cross just yet, and steady plugging away on it. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, or how I did anything, or what I'm doing next, obviously hit me up. Anyway, I think it's fucking time for another beer. Yeah, interesting shit I'm learning along the way. I have no means of, I mean, obviously I'm mechanically inclined, but I don't have any automotive schooling or fabrication schooling. I have a little bit of fabrication experience just from little shit I've built and what I've done on this so far, such as my back half kit. Yeah, I don't know. I think I do alright for myself. It's not like I'm busting out rigs left and right, selling them to unknowing people that would rather have somebody with a little piece of paper that says they can fabricate shit. Learn on your own. I can do it without schooling. I think I'll be alright. Also got my shock hoops. I went with the rough stuff rough stuff shock hoops. So we're gonna see where those are gonna end up. I'm gonna get my arms for my rear redone, and see if we can throw this tub back on here. My full length brackets, they're just kind of tacked in. I'll probably throw a little bit of stitch weld on there because I'm gonna pull everything back off, and I'm gonna throw the tub on there just to kind of get my rockers chopped a bit so I can do my rock sliders, and also so I can sit the tub on there and hack my fenders out. Then I'll pull the tub off again, sand or not sand, sandblast, media blast, whatever, this whole frame once I get everything welded on here how I want it and set, and I'll paint it and sandblast my axles at the same time. And I can really start assembling everything. I can put my solid axle Industries or Spintech Industries fixed spindle conversion kit in. I can do my disc brakes front and rear. I went with the Eldorado calipers for my disc brake conversion on the rear. So that should be interesting. I'm about to order my e-brake cable just so I can kind of run that. That'll be easy to run into the tub when I just have it set up on there. And I'll just be able to disconnect it and take it out with the tub when I take the tub back off. But yeah, other than that, the steering box is moved. Time to start fabbing up some brackets. I already have one drilled for this this 4-bolt pattern. You got the wider ones on the top and a little bit narrower ones on the bottom. I already have one piece of plate drilled for that bolt pattern. I got to drill them out a bit bigger for these bolts. I just drilled it with like a 5/16 or something like that. So I got to drill out a little bit bigger. I think that's like a 3/8. Maybe, I don't know, something like that. Drill that out, and then I can kind of have it set up out here. I got to trim the rest of this off the side of the frame. These shafts that go all the way through the frame for the original mount. I haven't seen too many videos on this. I mean, there's some people moving the steering box forward, but I haven't really seen anything too in-depth. Just like to show people some good angles of how I'm planning on going about this. If there's anybody else looking into doing something stupid like this, yeah, I think it's gonna be good. It's definitely in a lot better position for a front end stretch, and it's kind of leveled out. It's not, you don't have this big round piece on the bottom hanging down like a damn nut sack or whatever, ready to get caught on something. Now you just have your drop down pin, gear, whatever you want to call it, and your pitman arm. But anyway, yeah, that's where we're at. It's a fucking mess out here. I need to get my shit together. Appreciate y'all watching. Have a good one.